In cross-country, there are always rules and action and steps in how to win the race. They can include disqualification, how to out-athlete your competitors, and best way to race. Here are some things to keep in mind when running a race. In cross-country, disqualifications can be critical to getting a personal best time or getting an individual win, meaning the first runner to cross the finish line. Getting disqualified means you broke a running rule. These rules are usually not broken. So, when this happens, your running time will not count and will not be recorded. Here are some rules that if you break, you will get disqualified. Cutting corner. This is when a runner intentionally does not follow the course so they can finish earlier. Usually when runner does this, a race official will tell them they are disqualified. The only exception is if the corner is not marked well, the race officially will give you warning, knowing you did not know where to turn. But odds are if you do it again in front of the same official, you will get a disqualification. Shoving. This can happen at any parts of the race. But this is usually happens when two athletes from opposing teams are trying to outrun each other for placement. If an official sees this behavior, both athletes will be disqualified and will not get an official time. Early start. This is when the race first starts. This is considered a false start the first time a runner does it. The second time it happens, though, the runner will be disqualified.
How to perform the best in a race. In running, you always want to do the best you can. Doing the best you can means getting a good time by finishing quickly. To run quickly, you must have certain abilities to do so. Here are some abilities to keep in mind.
First is physical ability. In a cross-country meet, you are required to run at 3.1 miles. To do this, you must be trained well enough, meaning you have been able to run the distance before and maybe even more. Without this training, your body is unable to handle a running course this long. Mental ability. You might be asking yourself, what does mental ability have to do with performance in a race? Let's say you're in the middle of a race and you're in the middle of a pack, meaning a negative split. What? A negative split is when mile to mile, your time is less. For example, as said earlier, a race is 3.1 miles. You have just finished your first mile and the mile time is 8:52, right? Stay with me. Then your next mile second time was 8:45. So this means that you finish your second mile 7 seconds quicker than your first mile. What happens if my second mile time is lower than my first time? That just simply means you got a positive split, which means you got more work to do to maintain your first mile pace. Health ability. By this, I'm referring to a sickness. If you got a cold or worse, you are not going to feel good during a race. If you come to practice sick, you will be sent home. No exceptions. Do not run if you are sick. Go home and rest. This is how your health can affect your running style. An emotional state, just like mental ability, emotional state can affect a runner's ability to run a race. Let's say just your siblings was hospitalized the night before your meet. If you are thinking about the worst thing that could happen to them, you might slow down. Every now and then, there might be that athlete that gains adrenaline from sad emotional feelings. But it's better to just try to focus on your race and not that bad thing in the first place. This is how emotional state can affect a runner. Pain. When it comes to a cross-country injury that will not allow a runner to race, it's usually an injury from the tight downs. Injuries can include pulled muscles, torn muscles, shin splints, twisted ankles, and more. Having an injury can really affect a runner during a race. Ways you can heal from injuries like this include icing, visit doctors, surgery, proper antibiotics for pain relief, supportive stability items such as scratches or a wheelchair. And the most important one of all, don't practice. Instead, go through rehab on your injury to get you back into the sport quicker without getting the injury again. These are ways that pain can affect runner. Physical ability, mental ability, emotional state, negative splits, health ability, and pain can affect a runner during his or her race. If even one of these conditions negatively affects a runner, it will hurt them in a race is in a one way or the next. As far as the disqualification go, cutting corners, shoving, and early starts will get you disqualified. These are the rules and regulations of